The time is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon and welcome to the media news on T Solid Radio. I am Joy Aki Olamigoke. First, the major headlines. Federal government diverts traffic to fix flyover beam. The federal government ASU resume fight on payment platforms as fresh varsity strike looms. And on the foreign scene, Tanzanian president gets coronavirus jab. And on the world of sports, Doha becomes first female jockey to win Goodwood Cup. And now moving on to the news in details. The federal government said yesterday that traffic would be diverted on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway around Makon section for 72 hours to enable the contractor to install a bridge beam. The Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Mr. Olukayode Popoola, said this during the inspection of an ongoing reconstruction rehabilitation of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway project. He appealed for understanding and urged the public to understand whatever is going on the bridge. Popoola said traffic would be diverted on a stretch of just 400 meters around the construction zone, where beams were to be laid on the flyover under construction at Smaka, near Shagamo Interchange. The Joint Admission Matriculation Board has cleared and released the user results of 14,620 candidates that were hitherto under investigation, while withholding the results of 93 others. The board had media and publicity. Dr. Fabian Benjamin, who disclosed this in a statement in Abuja on Tuesday, said that the results were released following the consideration and approval of the recommendation of the investigators at a management meeting held on Tuesday. Fabian, in a statement, recalled that the board in its earlier release stated that it will still review the results of the 2021 UTME exercise, and any candidate found wanting will have his or her results withheld. He added that out of the withheld results, 13 were discovered to have been involved in examination infrastructure after they were released, and one earlier withdrawn, bringing the total of the results that have been withdrawn to 14. Results of 332 visually impaired candidates whose examination was conducted this month have also been released. The federal government on Tuesday denied allegation that it had breached agreement it reached with the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The spokesman for the Ministry of Education, Ben Gong, who stated this in an interview with newsmen in Abuja, also explained why the federal government could not adopt the University Transparency and Accountability Solution, a payment platform developed by ASO. According to him, UTAS does not make provision for tax deduction from salaries. He added that ASO members cannot collect salaries without paying tax. It was recalled that the president of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, in an interview with reporters on Monday, accused the federal government of violating agreements it reached with the lecturers before the Court of Just Strike on December 24, 2020. He specifically accused government of not paying the end academic allowances as contained in the agreement. He also failed what he called the selective payment of salaries to ASU members, saying professors in some institutions received 80,000 naira in June and senior lecturers got to 25,000. In response, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said the UTAS platform would first be subjected to an integrity test, adding that the National Information Technology Development Agency is saddled with the responsibility of subjecting the UTAS platform to an integrity test. You are still listening to the media news on T-Solid Radio. Still to come is the foreign and sport news. To remember that you can download our app T-Solid on Play Store or log on to www.tsolid.tv. You can as well follow us on our various social media platforms in our T-Solid Radio TV. And Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu has been vaccinated against COVID-19. A predecessor, the late John Magufuli, was a coronavirus skeptic and was opposed to foreign made vaccines. Mrs. Samia has taken a different direction, urging the public to follow preventive guidelines. The country recently received 1 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines through the COVAX initiative. At the launch ceremony, President Samia urged all Tanzanians to get vaccinated and said that more doses would be obtained. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, African CDC expressed the measure President Samia has put in place to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. More than half the population of Germany is now fully vaccinated against COVID-19, Health Minister Jens Spahn said today, but concerns are growing about the slowdown in uptake. Germany's vaccination campaign accelerated in the spring after a sluggish first few months, yet the country remains some way off the 80% targeted for herd immunity. The inoculation drive has slowed to a snail's pace in recent weeks, sharpening fears of a fourth wave of infection driven by the more contagious Delta variant. With case numbers also rising, the debate over how to convince more people to take the vaccine is set to become a key issue in the national election scheduled for September 26th. Unlike other European countries such as France and Greece, Germany has so far ruled out introducing compulsory jabs for certain parts of the population. Germany has seen low infection numbers over the summer compared to many of its European neighbors, but cases have been creeping up over the past week. On Wednesday, official figures showed 2,768 new coronavirus cases over the last 24 hours, while the incidence has risen again to reach 15 cases per 100,000 over a 7-day period. The United States and Russia were holding a fresh round of talks in Geneva today, aimed at stabilizing the thorny relationship between Moscow and Washington. The talks are a continuation of the strategic dialogue which started last month in Swiss City with a full summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and United States President Joe Biden. The meeting has taken place behind closed doors and with no media present. The talks being led by United States Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman and Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov are expected to last most of the day. Moscow and Washington have both toned down expectation with no spectacular results expected from the meeting, just as with the June 16th presidential summit. The talks will cover the thorny issue of arms control. Bonnie Jackson, who 1 week ago was confirmed as the Undersecretary of State for Arms Control and International Security Affairs, is part of the United States delegation. The top appeals court in France is due to rule on a conviction handed to the son of Equatorial Guinea's president for using public money to fund his lavish lifestyle. If the decision goes against Theodore Obiang, his asset could be redistributed to people living in his home country. Mr. Obiang, who is the vice president of Equatorial Guinea, was first convicted in France in 2017, while last week Britain imposed sanctions on him for corruption. Equatorial Guinea said the measures were based on lies and warned it would close its embassy in London. And on the world of sport, Holly Doyle added to an already landmark year for women riders in horse racing by becoming the first female jockey to win the Goodwood Cup on Tuesday as part of a remarkable 1-2-3-2-1 tremble. The 24-year-old won a Trushan, the 6-5 favorite, following the withdrawal of Chandiros from the 2-mile race on the first day of Glorious Goodwood, one of the showpiece meetings of the English flat season following heavy rain on the Sussex course. The 5-year-old moved into the lead early in the home straight on the southern back, seeing off 33 to 1 shot away. The 24-year-old Doro then completed a long shot treble with wins in the next two races on Lord Rediford and Sisters in the Sky. And finally, Nigeria's The Tigers fell apart in the fourth quarter of the second game at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics to lose 92-99 to Germany in the early hours of today. Coming from a disappointing loss to Australia, the Tigers secured the first basket via Mihami Hut's point guard, Gabriel Vincent, and accumulated most of their points via three-pointers, an improvement from the performance in their first game. Germany, also having suffered the first match loss to Italy, made it an hand-to-hand game inspired by Orlando Magic's Motives Wagner and Danilo Barthel. The points were tied at halftime 50-50 and at the end of the third quarter 74-74, making it a frantic fourth quarter where Germany took the game beyond Nigeria. With that, we've come to the end of the news, a recap of the major headlines. Federal government divert traffic to fix flyover beam. Federal government, ASU, resume fight on payment platforms as fresh varsity strike loans. And on the foreign scene, I read Tanzania president gets coronavirus jab. And on the world of sport, Doi becomes first female junkie to win Goodwood Cup. Ensure to go by all precautionary measures to stay safe from COVID-19 as recommended by the World Health Organization and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. Do remember to download our app T-Solid on Play Store or log on to www.tsolid.tv. You can as well follow us on our various social media platforms on our T-Solid Radio TV. The news was compiled and edited by Akachi Chijoke. I am Joy Akin Olamigoke. Good afternoon and many thanks for